Welcome to the new digs. Do you love it? Hi there, my name's Leeja, I'm a lawyer, and I'm gonna watch alt-right TikToks so that you don't have to. Let's just get this over with, shall we? First, a major shout out to a woman named Michelle on Twitter. Her handle is @LivingBlueTX. She's a sweet baby angel because she went through alt-right TikTok, collected a bunch, and then made a Twitter thread with over 200 tweets documenting various alt-right TikToks so that I didn't have to ruin my perfect TikTok algorithm. So I watched a bunch of those that she found. Go check her out on Twitter if you want to see them for some reason. Hello from Leeja from the future, here to say thank you to my partner on today's video, Warby Parker. If you've ever seen me wear glasses on this channel, which you have a lot, they are always, without doubt, Warby Parker frames. Warby Parker offers everything that you need for happier eyes. Sunglasses, eyeglasses, contact lenses, eye exams. And you can shop with them online or in stores. Their glasses start at $95, including prescription lenses. What's cool is you can try on up to 5 pairs of Warby Parker glasses for free with their at-home try-on kit. I have one right here. We're gonna try on some glasses. They even have a quiz to help you pick out which ones will look best for you. I've picked out some glasses that I think are very different from my typical glasses choice, and we're just gonna try them out and see what new personality we can find with our glasses. Shall we? This first frame is called the Robbie. It's narrow. I have a big head, so this might not work out, but let's see. I have this little hand mirror. Oh, very studious. What am I, a librarian? This next pair is called Faye. Beautiful name. Also a wire forward frame. Ooh, much wider for my big giant head. Oh, these are fun. These are very similar to the ones I already have, but like rounder, which makes me feel a little nerdier in a good way. Bookish. Beautiful. Next up we have Halton. I don't often go for black because I feel like it looks a little too dramatic on my face. So I'm interested to see how these look. Ooh, these also feel very spacious. Warby Parker offers a variety of narrow to wide glasses, so you can choose what works for your face shape and head. You can also see how uneven my ears are when I try glasses on. But I do kind of like this. It's still very dark and what feels kind of harsh, but these are very fun frames. I love the gold detailing. All right, speaking of black, this pair is probably my most adventurous that I ordered because it's all black. It might be too much, but I wanted to give it a go. Huh? If I were a drama teacher at a local high school or community college, I believe I could pull these off. Probably not for me on a day-to-day, but a fun experience to see how those feel. These are called the Winston. And my last pair in my 5-pair try-on kit is called the Carlton, which is brown, a little bit less dramatic, a little softer. What do we think? Also very librarian-y. It might just be that when I put on glasses, I look like a librarian. I think the winners for me might be the Faye, but I think I'm also biased because they look a lot like the glasses I already have, but I like the round. It feels kind of arty and different. What's great about these at-home try-on boxes is you can try on a bunch of different ones and see which personality fits you the best. Let me put on my actual glasses here. There we go. You can get your 5 pairs to try on at home for free by going to warbyparker.com/Leeja. Thanks once again to Warby Parker for partnering with me on today's video. Let's dive in.
So, does anyone else find it odd that TikTok is owned by the CCP and you are going against China's community standards if you talk out about the United States government or Joe Biden? It must be nice to own a sitting president. This one might get me banned. They keep muting me. They keep censoring me. Freedom of speech is not allowed. We are allowed to say whatever we want. There are no community guidelines. That's what the freedom of speech stands for. First Amendment, you can say whatever you want. Second Amendment, you carry a gun because if you've got a big mouth, you might have to defend yourself. Just saying, people. This shit's ridiculous.
Well, so the First Amendment actually doesn't say that you can say whatever the fuck you want. The First Amendment says, and I quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Keyword Congress. So TikTok is a private entity. They're not bound by the First Amendment. They don't owe you any First Amendment rights. TikTok can do whatever it wants. Furthermore, Furthermore, even Congress or the feds or the states can curb your free speech under specific circumstances, especially if that speech infringes on other rights of other people. For example, defamation law is a curb on your free speech that is enforced by the state through the judiciary system when you get sued for defamation. Republicans especially love to talk about First Amendment absolutism and then love to turn around and sue people for defamation for the things that they say. Make it make sense. You can check out my video on Elon Musk if you want to learn more. I'll link it up here. As for the Second Amendment, it says, and I quote, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed," which is inherently a confusingly written sentence. Is it laying out both a right to a well-regulated militia and the right of the people to bear arms? We don't know because the word "and" isn't in there. Or is the clause "the right of the people to keep and bear arms" a modifying clause to the first sentence saying that a well-regulated militia is necessary to the security of a free state? Meaning, is it saying that you have both the right to the militia and the right to bear arms, or is it saying that the right to the militia requires people to bear arms, therefore they're one and the same? We don't know, and that's why we've been arguing about this for 200 years. I will also note the words "well-regulated" at the very beginning of the amendment. Frankly, it's just a bad sentence. Moving on.
I just wanted to give you a quick preview of what this channel is going to be about. I plan on using this channel to expose the left, the socialists, the Democrats, and the libtards. The left have a great ability to blame the Republicans for things that they actually did throughout history and have the public believe that the Republicans did it. Nothing could be further from the truth. The Democrats are guilty. Many people don't know that the Republican Party was founded as the anti-slavery party. The Republican Party is 100% responsible for ending slavery. Do you know how many Democrats voted yes on Amendment number 13? Do you? 0. Follow me for more unbrainwashing America.
Well, some of that's true. Actually, he's right about the Republican Party. It was founded in 1854 on a platform of opposing the expansion of slavery into the new territories that were being expanded into as part of the United States expansion westward. You know what else the Republicans were into in the 1850s and beyond? High tariffs, income tax, a national banking system, giving government aid to education and agriculture. And yes, Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. He was also a known racist, saying, among other things, that he was against bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the black and white races. So he wasn't into like literal slave labor, but he wasn't not a racist, you know what I mean? So then he mentions the 13th Amendment. The 13th Amendment is the one that banned slavery. And it's true, most of the proponents were Republicans. It was passed in the Senate in 1864. However, 2 Democrats did vote for the amendment, one named Reverdy Johnson of Maryland and James Nesmith of Oregon. The problem with history, you see, is that when you go out and cherry pick things to support your argument, it loses the historical context and all of the history that's happened since these specific instances that you've chosen. So that was the 1800s. By the turn of the 20th century, both Democrats and Republicans were in favor of expanding government to help social justice, whether that be voting for black people, suffrage for women, better labor standards for children, shorter work days, etc. However, things slowly shifted over time, and by the 1930s, when the Great Depression came about, FDR was a Democrat and he enacted a ton of huge government programs to try to bring the economy back from disaster. And at that point, that's when the Republican Party swayed really strongly against big government in opposition to FDR. That's when we started seeing a more modern Republican Party like we know it today. All of that aside, I don't think I've ever personally heard a Democrat say that Republicans are responsible for slavery. I don't think that's what people are arguing about right now. I think people are concerned about Republicans being and aligning themselves with white nationalists, self-declared Nazis, members of the literal KKK. That's what we're concerned about. We're not here squabbling over who created slavery and who ended slavery. We're squabbling about present day issues with racism, anti-Semitism, and other bigotry that is clearly being furthered by the Republican Party and its members. That's what I think we're concerned about generally as a society. Moving on.
Dear IRS and potential 87,000 new IRS agents, understand this. The Internal Revenue Service is not the federal government. They are a private collections company.
So the IRS is a part of the federal government. It was created by the Secretary of the Treasury, who was given permission by Congress to enforce the internal revenue laws, including via the creation of an agency to enforce such laws. That's all because Congress created it and gave it that power. It's an administrative agency.
Without a lawful warrant, I don't give a you got a legal warrant. You can wipe your ass with that. Legal and lawful, two big differences. This is not martial law, and this is not maritime court.
I don't really know what he means about maritime court. He isn't wrong, though. There is technically a difference between lawful and legal. In day-to-day speak, you probably won't see a difference, but lawful versus legal is as follows. Lawful conduct, or whatever, comports with the substance of the law. Legal just comports with the letter of the law. And what I mean is something can be legal and not lawful, but something can also be lawful but not legal. So for example, and what he's probably concerned about, if you get a search warrant and say you have probable cause to go and search someone's house, you being a cop in this situation, but the underlying reasons for your probable cause aren't sound, like it doesn't actually rise to probable cause, and then you go and search their house and take their stuff. That conduct, while you conformed to the letter of the law by getting a search warrant, is not lawful conduct under the Constitution, which protects, under the Fourth Amendment, your right to be free from unlawful searches and seizures. It's not lawful, even though you followed the letter of the law. You know what I mean? So he's not wrong.
You come to my mother door spouting that shit, you better understand, I'm warning you right now, I will prosecute you posthumously.
What does that mean? You can't prosecute someone posthumously. Your estate could maybe sue someone, or maybe your family members could sue someone for wrongful death or something, but like if you're a dead person, you don't get to appear as a party in a court case, just for the record.
And you are afforded no protections under the Constitution because you are not the federal government. You are a private collections agency that is being weaponized by an illegal faction of our government, aka the Biden administration. You know, that pandered ass of elites that stole the election? Yeah, I suggest you only send bachelors and level 4 body armor. Because the moment you threatened us with 87,000 new agents, we the people took that as a declaration of war. Better investigate every sitting motherfucker in Congress and the Senate before you come after a single taxpayer.
I think that's fair. I think that if we're gonna fund the IRS, we should probably start, you know, taxing the richest people, and a lot of them are sitting in Congress. I agree with you, sir. You angry man. This video does kind of give you a hint, and me a hint, of where people are coming from on the alt-right. Like, clearly this guy is just really angry with his government because it doesn't represent him, and he's afraid, and so he's kind of just spouting off in anger. And they're so disillusioned with the system that they're willing to believe anything about the government because they think everything in the government is corrupt, and they're willing to believe anything about the people that they've determined are the good guys, like Trump, you know? Like, they're so disillusioned. They're ready for anything. Moving on.
We ain't vote for none of this shit. All this shit y'all built, we didn't get a vote on none of this. The people did not get a say. You work for the people. What needs to happen is somebody in the United States military that has the temerity, the brass, the balls to come forth with some troops and arrest these people and put an end to this bullshit. Y'all know who these people are. How the can you work for a country that demonizes your First and Second Amendment rights and every other right? This government is corrupt from the bottom to the top. I'm not saying all of them, but the good ones in there ain't coming forward.
Honestly, like, I don't disagree with everything he's saying. There's a lot of corruption in government, and a lot of what's happening doesn't feel like anything that anyone I know's ever voted for, you know what I mean? I also really like his glasses. They're very fashion forward. for his general vibe. He kind of comes across as a guy that like a makeover show gave him a makeover, and then he's kind of let himself go, but he still has little relics from it, like a fancy pair of glasses like that. Very fashionable. Anyway, I don't know why he thinks the military, which is a part of the government, is any less corrupt than the rest of the government. Not sure why he's putting his faith in there. But the rest of it, like, I do eye roll because it's always about the First and Second Amendment. Always about the First and Second Amendment. And I think they've read a couple sentences of the amendment, so now they know what it says and they know what it means. But the reality is, amendments, a lot of them were written 200 plus years ago, and there's been that much time of court precedent interpreting them, so you need to also read the court precedent. You know what I mean? That's what I come here for. I've read it, and so I talk about it through various videos on this channel, but also you should read it too and form your own opinions based on that and not based on just what the words in the Constitution say, because what they say is not the full picture, you know? Next.
They took this oath underneath this country. Why we sit back and we allow all this bull and all this negative, what they tread on, what they have treaded on. You scalp every last single one of them.
I don't even know what that guy's fucking talking about. What? Moving on.
This goes out to the U.S. Army. I'm gonna say this one. So listen clearly. Listen, mother. Clearly, I ain't playing.
He's not playing.
If you don't let me fight for my country because I'm 45 years old and I'm too old, Russia or Mexico will let me.
Jesus Christ. So he's mad because the U.S. Army won't take him because he's 45. I did see that Russia was taking recruits from like Central Asian countries, so they might actually take him. I'm a little confused about the logic there, because he's like, I want to fight for my country, and if you don't let me, I'll fight for Russia or Mexico instead. Is he just trying to fight someone? Is that what's happening? Clearly a lot of pent-up anger, which is a theme I'm seeing in all of these videos. A lot of very angry white men, but honestly, part of me is feeling some empathy here because I'm seeing a lot of like fear in these people's faces. They're genuinely scared about what this country is coming to, which is a sentiment that a lot of people on the left feel as well. But they've been raised in a society where, for men especially, you're not allowed to have any emotions other than anger. So they've not been taught proper coping mechanisms to handle these deep, scary emotions that they're feeling. So they just come out in anger and want to fight someone. So I'm seeing just a lack of coping skills and, you know, the patriarchy rearing its ugly head in a lot of these videos.
Ladies and gentlemen of TikTok, try to get this message around. Talk to my brother, he's Special Forces. They're reactivating him. He's going to Iraq. Just to let you know, they're sending all of our Special Forces that are loyal to this country over to Iraq for some reason. I think they're sending all of our good soldiers overseas so they can bring in UN troops to take our guns, people.
So the UN doesn't have its own military. It can gather troops up, but only when there's a UN Security Council resolution allowing for that. And usually it takes around 6 months because the UN Security Council has to allow for it, and then they have to go out and like find the troops. They don't just have people on standby. And also when they send the military into a location, it's on a peacekeeping mission, not to round up Republicans and steal their guns. You know, the UN doesn't give a shit about that.
Your whole damn government is corrupt. And it's time for us Americans to bring it down to its knees and take back our nation. Remember, we outnumber them. And number two, the military is made of people like me.
Yikes.
We serve our country with pride, and I got an issue. You people think you're going to take our country, I got an issue. You're going to start a damn war, Joe Biden. And when we take back our country from you globalists, you communists, guess what's going to happen? We're going to hang every one of you Democrats and every one of you Republicans and every one of you people in our government for treason and the tyranny that you're guilty of. Since they don't call for civil war, I got news right now. We are already at war. We've been at war for 6 years. They declared war against Donald Trump and against us. They ran around, looted cities, burned them down to the ground, attacked people. And did they go after these people? No. They were trying to go after Donald Trump.
I'm sorry, can we cue the video of military tankers rolling down these streets here in Minneapolis when it was literally on fire from protesters, many of whom were infiltrating from the alt-right? I'll remind you. Yeah, that's the military. That's the government. I don't know who he thinks they are, but I don't know who he thinks he's at war with, frankly.
Treason and the tyranny that you're guilty of. And I'm not saying that to be an asshole. I'm just telling you that tyranny will not be allowed to happen in our own country. And that's why our founding forefathers gave us the right to keep and bear arms.
Okay, next.
Well, hey, don't mind me. Just getting ready for my IRS audit. I know this is about to come. Listen, I'm just like you. I seen what happened to Trump. Yeah, it's go time. Everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about. The Democrat Nazis have gone too far. Just look at what they've said in the Senate in the past.
Democrat Nazis. I don't know that I've ever heard those two combined. I wonder if he's saying like Nazis in the kind of derogatory term where it's like grammar Nazi. Something tells me no. Especially because there are many members of the alt-right and the Republican Party who are literal members of Nazi and neo-Nazi groups and the KKK. I don't know, the cognitive dissonance is wild.
Look at all the ammunition the IRS is buying up.
It is true, the IRS is actually buying ammunition. They spent around $700,000 this year buying ammunition, something that a lot of people are literally up in arms about. The thing is, they've been buying around $700,000 worth of ammunition for the IRS for every year for the last decade at least. This ammunition is to arm specific IRS agents that operate in the areas of like cybercrime, organized crime, gangs. Like they work with the FBI and other agencies to crack down on white collar crime. There's maybe 2,000 agents in the IRS who are actually armed. Your average Joe Schmo nerd who's out there auditing people does not have a gun. But now, of course, people are up in arms about it. It's a rallying cry for the alt-right. Matt Gaetz, another Florida Republican, introduced a bill called the Disarm the IRS Act. So it's become a rallying cry, even though it's been happening year after year for many years. That being said, I agree it's a little unnerving that they've got IRS agents just out there being armed. So it kind of sounds to me like this guy is interested in taking their guns away. A little gun control. You can have a little gun control as a treat. I will say, though, that this bill that just came down where they're giving $80 billion to the IRS, yeah, the IRS is like, we're gonna start using that money by hiring people to actually answer our phones. So, not quite as nefarious as people want to believe. Next.
This new bill they just drew up, the one about the guns and, you know, all that good stuff, they've included in it $80 billion set aside to pay IRS agents to come and take our weapons.
I don't really know where the alt-right is getting this idea that the IRS agents are going to come and take their weapons. The only logical through line I've been able to come up with for this is that people buy weapons and it's their only valuable asset, so they're afraid that IRS agents are going to come, audit them, and then take their only valuable assets, which is their guns, which seems like poor money management, my dude. That's a you problem. Next.
I had a few people comment on my post and my brother's post. He's also the co-leader of the militia that we started, which, by the way, already has members. And people lining up. Religion aside, we don't believe in being segregated, so we don't care if you're black, white, Asian, Norse pagan, Christian, Buddhist, trans, gay, lesbian. We don't care because we accept anybody who is willing to fight for the Constitution and for the American people. To those who are wolves, those who are willing to stand up and fight, please follow. Please stand with us. We welcome you. And for those who are sheep, who don't want to stand, who want to trust in their government that has already failed them multiple times, and who want to bend the knee, stay the off my page. I don't need sheep on my page. I need wolves that will stand with me so that we might fight this corrupt government, these corrupt cops, every fucking corrupt person in this country, and bring our country back to the glory it once was.
I love when they say that. What glory? When? What time period are you thinking of? Also, he wants to fight corrupt cops? How interesting. I love when the right goes so right it becomes left. Yeah, let's defund the police. What do you say? What does it mean? So I'm not interested in fighting. But I also agree that the government's corrupt and hasn't really served me or people that I care about very much. So what is that? I definitely am not a wolf, but I don't know that that makes me a sheep. What happens if I wanted to leave? What does that make me? Like, I just want to get the fuck out of here. lives of these people. What does that make me? A gazelle? A kangaroo? Just hopping away? Comment below. Next.
So yesterday I decided to run my name on the DOD's website. Bit Mafia by the pronoun mafia, by my feelings mafia, and by a tyrannical government that are overstepping their bounds for many, many years now. So I'm doing the right thing by speaking out against them. That's how you know, because I'm on their watch list. They don't want us to be a republic. They want to keep us a controlled democracy. Them.
So I didn't realize that republic versus democracy was this rallying cry for the Republican Party until I said something on TikTok, and then everyone was in my comments section. I got on the wrong side of TikTok and they were saying that, like, we're not a democracy, we're a republic. If you were a real lawyer, you would know that. So I did some digging to figure out where did this come from? Now, it is true that our founding fathers, taking a cue from people, scholars, philosophers like Socrates, I made a video about him, you can go check him out, taking a cue from them, they were very skeptical of direct democracy, meaning people voting directly for the representatives. They were much more interested in representative democracy and a republic wherein a president is elected by representatives. That's why the Electoral College exists. Does it work? That's another conversation. That being said, however, even though they called the American experiment wholly Republican, that wasn't because of a rejection of democracy. They didn't denounce the idea of a democratic society and a popular government, which is a democracy, which a democracy is a popular government. For example, in the Federalist Papers, Hamilton wrote, "A representative democracy where the right of election is well secured and regulated and the exercise of the legislative, executive, and judiciary authorities is vested in select persons, chosen really and not nominally by the people, will, in my opinion, be most likely to be happy, regular, and durable." Abraham Lincoln later used the words constitutional republic and democracy synonymously, interchangeably. The main concern that they're having is against minority rule, which the US system was designed to root out, both through Republican checks and balances as well as through democratically elected officials in this representative democracy. You know what I mean? Because a representative democracy where the people vote would, in theory, root out any sort of minority, power-hungry faction of people, which is what the founding fathers were most concerned with. This is all flawed though, because if we were to call it a democracy or republic, either way, the founding fathers envisioned this country to have rights and democratic participation from a very small faction of people, that is, white men with land. So frankly, what they were creating is closer to an aristocracy, wouldn't you say? It wasn't until the passage of amendments to allow for black people to vote, to allow for women to vote, to help protect the voting rights of people from poll taxes and things like that. That's when we became more of a representative democracy, a republic where the people actually have a say, theoretically, in the election process in a more democratic way. And I think the reason why Republicans are so dead set on this idea of the republic versus the democracy is because in their eyes, a republic allows for minority rule, and Republicans love to see themselves as the, like, persecuted minority, because they're just like Jesus. It's a really compelling narrative for them to think that they're being persecuted, these white men. And they're terrified of this, like, tyrannical minority running the country. And I agree. I think we do have a minority running the country. There's a lot of people running our country who do not represent what the people want. They are there because of their wealth and nepotism, and they are creating laws that don't comport with what the majority of Americans want. For example, 61% of Americans think that abortion should be legal, and yet 5 non-elected people on the Supreme Court got to decide that's not the case, and now a handful of stubborn Congress people are able to get in the way of Congress passing laws to reflect the will of the majority of the people. So the point is, whether it's a republic or a democracy, first of all, it's both. Second of all, it's not functioning in any way, shape, or form either way. So the semantics kind of just misses the point. Because in the end, it was created by design to serve a small elitist group of people, that is white men with land, and we've been trying to fix it ever since. Next.
Good morning, TikTok. Nothing funny about this post. HR 4350 is a bill in the House that they have already passed. It lets the Democrats put Biden as a dictator over military and everything, which means Biden will go into martial law. When we go into martial law, they're only coming after conservatives and people trying to save America. This is no longer a joke. There's nothing funny about this. We have got to wake up and fight. Fight like you've never fought before. I will go out in a blaze of glory before I turn against my Heavenly Father or before I turn against this country. Know that.
What? Okay, I honestly don't know what she's talking about. HR 4350 is the National Defense Authorization Act. It gives $715 billion in federal funds to the Department of Defense for the year 2022, which is on par with what they spent last year for the national defense. The goals of this year's budget include defeating COVID-19, keeping an eye on China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea, expanding the military draft to everyone, not just men, and establishing a permanent UFO office. I don't know martial law what she's talking about, maybe because she heard about the draft or something. I'm honestly fine with it being equal for all genders. I personally, if I were included in a draft, I might be too old. I also have flat feet, so maybe not, but if I were, I'd probably just leave, so it doesn't matter to me. I'm just like, we'll truly never understand the national pride that people like this feel for their country. And she really equated like my Heavenly Father and this country, like they're so intertwined, but the national pride that these people have while also simultaneously fucking hating this country. It truly boggles the mind. Like they are willing to die for this country, but they also fucking hate this country. Boggles the mind. Okay, I've had enough for today. Key takeaways. Alt-right TikToks, really fucking boring. Spit it out, get to the point, let's make it snappy. Bad content. Number 2, lots of angry white men, and some women we saw, especially men though, who were never taught proper coping mechanisms and now are expressing all of their fear and other emotions through anger and violence. And that's on us for letting this patriarchy take over. You know what I mean? These men need some healing. And frankly, they all seem genuinely very, very scared. Like you can see it in their faces, even though they think that they're being strong or something. Like they're very terrified. And frankly, there is a lot of overlap between alt-right TikTok and leftist TikTok. I'm on the lefty TikTok. We're all talking about the government is corrupt. Our leaders are bought out. They don't give a shit about us. We all agree on that. We just very much disagree on the method by which to fix it. And they seem to be ready to fight. And I don't really know why, the violence piece. I don't really get the violence piece. I don't know what they think they're doing. It's very wild. I also don't know why they have faith in the military. The military is part of the government. You know that, right? Anyway, we have fewer differences than we think, is my point. And I can empathize with the fear that these people are feeling, because I feel like we have a lot of fear too, generally as a society in this country, in the world. Leftists have fear, rightists have fear. The only people who aren't afraid right now are the people who hold all the power and all the money. And that's who we're all angry at, and we're just divided as to how to go about it. And the anger and the division is just getting worse and worse. So this has honestly been a really interesting exercise for me in empathy. I've learned a lot. Would I recommend ruining your TikTok algorithm to go watch alt-right TikToks? No, but I would suggest maybe going and checking out Michelle Living Blue TX over on Twitter. She's got a whole lineup of these. Again, I'm saying I'm feeling empathy. I'm not saying I agree with the methods or the manner by which these people are comporting themselves, but this has been very interesting. Let me know if you want a part 2. If you enjoyed this and want to help support my work bringing you videos like this, please consider joining me over on Patreon. We have a book club, we have a Discord chat, I show you behind the scenes footage of stuff. You get to watch me as I script future videos. There's all sorts of stuff going on over there, and your support means the world to me. A special thank you to my newest member Dixie. And as always, thank you to my royal patrons, Old Man Pence, Fork McSpoon, Daniel Taylor, and Ellen L. And a very special thank you to my multi-platinum patrons, Brett Piontek and Cyrus Solka. Thank you so much. Your generosity means the world to me and allows me to make these videos. So thank you so much. If you liked this video, you might also like this video that I made all about Alex Jones. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.